7 years, I realized that something in my heart took out the joy in life, took out just feeling, emotions. And I just wanted to share with you today because I think many of you guys might actually connect with it. And I think the issue really is bitterness. Just a numbness that happens because of relationship. And I think many of us honestly have broken relationships. It's just a part of life. But I think what stops us instead of helping us grow is the fact that we try to put it under a rug. We become numb because of it. And today, I want to talk about why forgiveness will actually lead to freedom. Why forgiveness actually sets us free. And so I think that brings me to my first point, and that is forgiveness does not lead to redemption, but it actually leads to freedom. And what I mean by that is a lot of us, when someone wrongs us, we want to find some sort of redemption. We want to right the wrong. And in many cases, it is out of our control. And when this happens, we feel helpless, hopeless. We feel bitter. There's many nights where we just sleep. We are seething with anger because we have been wronged and nothing can make it right. We feel our life slipping out of our hands. And because of our desire for redemption and making right the wrong, and because we can't do anything about it, a lot of us become numb. What forgiveness does, though, is it starts to set us free. It sets us free from the situation, the person that has hurt us. And instead of allowing them to continually beat at our hearts, stab our hearts in different ways, we allow ourselves to be free from the situation. Case in point, this is me just really being vulnerable. I haven't really been able to cry for the last many years. And I think a huge component of it was because of something that I've held dormant in my heart until 2 weeks ago. And so, case in point, my mother and father are pretty famous, at least in Korea. And there were some people that were trying to defame them 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I remember at that time I was in the States and they were in Korea, and 90% of the people I thought were for our family that we got along well with. They turned their backs against us when they heard stuff on the news that were wrong, clearly, and it took 5, 6, 7 years to clear all those lies. But it was very hurtful for me, and I realized coincidentally that I've lost joy in life, like just the joy of living 5, 6, 7 years ago. Around that time, those 3 years, I was just trying to gut through. It was hard, and because the feeling in my heart was so tough, like I had to just either forget about it, just put it at the back of my mind, or I felt I would die. And I think last week I had a dream. I met this person in my dream that I haven't talked to for quite a bit. And I was sitting next to a bus, and in the dream I start crying. And I was able to release, not just mentally, because I think 5, 6 years ago I said, you know what, I'm just gonna let it go, but I really didn't. And I think that's where this is very key. This is very key for a lot of us. But I think at that time I chose to be bitter, but because life was so busy, I just put it under a rug. And what happened, because as humans we are emotional people, and I chose to ignore it, the rest of my life, not only the bad things but the good things, I chose to ignore as well. And I didn't know how much it affected me until these last few weeks, actually. And I had to verbally release myself and forgive many people in my life, and especially all the people that I thought were once friends. Once I released them and I forgave them, my heart started to open, and I started to feel life again. And that's what it is, really, to find freedom. When we forgive, we can find true freedom because we start taking control of our own lives again. But I think this leads me to my second point. A lot of the forgiveness we have to do has to be for those that are close to us, not our enemies. You know, for many of us listening right now to this talk, you might be thinking, you know what, I'm okay. And you might think you're not affected. But if you're numb, I really think it's because someone close to you, you need to forgive. And my practical application is the best thing you can do is to go to the person and to tell them, I don't need you to ask for forgiveness, but I forgive you of something that happened in the past. And that action, whether you do it privately, but better publicly to that person, it will set you free and allow you to enjoy those relationships, those that are close to you in your life. Because honestly speaking, we all are not even close to perfect. We all have so many faults. And until we accept these faults in one another, we can't truly love those that are close to us. And the best way we can love them is to forgive them and allow them to really make an impact in their hearts again. And honestly speaking, a lot of people in our lives may not be able to get close to us anymore because we have shut them out because of the bitterness we have felt in our hearts. So I want to say this again. The numbness that we feel do not only happen because of those we think that hate us. No, I really think it happens because of those that are actually close to us. And once we start applying this, it leads to my last point, and that is, when we forgive, we become powerful. We become influencers. We become impactful. And I'll give you an analogy. So I remember a week ago, I was telling my wife that I had a knot in my heart, that I couldn't cry because of the knot in my heart. And I remember after the dream that I had, and I woke up and I found this freedom and just releasing just the bitterness and just saying, I forgive everyone in my life. I'm not going to allow myself to be burdened, and I'm going to be free from any bitterness that I've accrued in the last 6, 7 years. I am going to forgive. And in turn, what I really felt in my heart was this knot that I had, this knot, it was releasing. It was like releasing, and the knot that I had deeply in my heart that was so tight, as with each forgiveness, I start releasing little by little, and soon enough, I felt as if my heart was now a rope that could reach and help others who were drowning in their bitterness and brokenness. And when I thought about this, when I thought about the things that I could do now that I'm free, I felt alive, I felt joyful. And that's why I'm making this video. I don't know how many of us that is going to reach out to, but what I do want to say to each and every one of you here is I am able to speak to you in freedom and joy because of the fact that I forgave. And I exhort you, I beg you to release yourself from the bitterness in your heart, to forgive them by name, to go out to them and do things that they don't deserve. Because it's not about redemption, it's not about being right, because in most circumstances, you will not find redemption. Rather, it is about freedom that you and I can find, to live the life with the joy that we had when we were children, before we were so broken. And we will find this joy when we are free from the bitterness that makes many of us numb. Because life is not so black and white. I'm going to say it again. If you put away and try to numb your negative emotions, you will also numb your positive ones. And those positive emotions that you think you feel is just going to be our attempt to run away from the fact that we are broken. Forgiveness has changed my life in this season of my life. And I beg of you, really, become free by forgiving those that have hurt you the most. And by doing that, you'll be able to live the life that you're called to live.